Welcome to the Innovation Conversation, a podcast about innovators, both in business and real life. Hosted by myself, Ricardo Pascual, and Harry McDonough.
This podcast is sponsored by OpenExperts.com. OpenExperts is a place to go if you're looking to talk with top experts from around the world. That is open-experts.com. This podcast is also sponsored by startupnetworks.co.uk. Startup Networks, it's an online forum where you can find all the resources you need to run your startup. From grants to investors to tips and tricks on how to be successful in your startup.
Today, we are joined by Enrique Serrano-Apparicio, founder and CEO of Hackrocks. Hi, and welcome to the Innovation Conversation. Today, we are joined by Enrique Serrano-Apparicio. Enrique, welcome. You're the founder and CEO of Hackrocks. Am I right?
Yep.
So would you like to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Sure. Thank you, Ricardo. It's great to be here with you today. And yes, the name of the company is this one actually, is Hackrocks. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I am the founder and CEO of Hackrocks. I started off in the world of cybersecurity when I was 14 or even less. Mm-hmm. I was very trying to understand how the computers were working a lot of time ago. So I co-founded with a group of friends, Mundo Hacker. Mundo Hacker is a team or a group actually of hackers that every Friday we were hacking different stuff from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. just for fun, just to discover new stuff, and always in a good way. I mean, not to get money, not to ransom people. So the good point here is that after several years, I studied IT engineering and I joined IBM. So I was in IBM around 6-7 years, and the last part of my career in IBM was in the IBM X-Force Command with the headquarters in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And I left and I went to Simulate. Simulate is a startup from Israel, and it was also really good fun to leave IBM, the huge company, to go to a startup in Israel. And after that, COVID came up, and during the lockdown, we made Hackrocks. So we were programming a platform for more than 1 year, more or less. And we have a cybersecurity training platform where you can train and you can hack different stuff, but in a practical way. So for me, it's very important, that part. I've been part of several shows in Spain, TV shows, where we were hacking people on the street with hidden cameras and these kind of things.
Really?
To demonstrate that it's possible. So to conduct education and awareness always. But the good point here is, and actually I have a TEDx talk on YouTube talking about the need of having hackers in the society. Because how do you know, by the way, first, how do you know that the hacker is an actual hacker? That's the first point.
True. Yeah.
How do you demonstrate your knowledge? So with Hackrocks, it's possible. Secondly, how do you trust in a hacker if the hacker was a cyber criminal before? Because for me, we have hackers and cyber criminals, both with a lot of knowledge in cybersecurity, but hackers in a good way and cyber criminals in a bad way. They use it. So that's the point. How do you trust in a person who is hacker now, but you know that it's mandatory to be a cyber criminal before, because if not, you don't practice. So we have created this kind of battlefield where it's possible to compete against other hackers, to demonstrate your knowledge, to learn, and always in a practical way, and very important, in a legal way. So that's the key of Hackrocks.
Interesting. And how? Okay, this is quite interesting because there's a difference between is it white hackers and black hackers? What's the terminology for that?
Yeah, sometimes for me, hacker global is hacker is good. So white hacker, black hacker, whatever. For me, hacker is good and cyber criminal is bad. But it is true that the people normally define black hacker like the bad guys and white hacker like good guys. Yeah. Maybe it's related with some cybersecurity projects because, for instance, when you have a client and the client provides you information about his infrastructure, that's considered as well a white hacking or white pen testing, white box pen testing. Yeah. It's black box, white box. The black and white is all the time in the world of cybersecurity. So yes, kind of that. Yeah.
Interesting. And this is quite interesting. I'm assuming a lot of big companies use hacker services to test the products, right, against multiple vulnerabilities and stuff like that. How relevant is it?
I think it's very important, and actually it's mandatory if you want to have some normatives or regulations. If you want to be compliant with several normatives, depending on the country. Yeah. But for instance, I don't know, here in Europe or even in the US, you need to demonstrate that your infrastructure, your product, your network are secure. So you have to make at least once per year an external audit by the third company. So you have to provide this kind of, hey, agreement, like, I give you my permission, so you are able to hack my website, my company, my product, whatever, for 1 month. And I'm going to be like working as usual, and you're going to have to hack me. And after that, you're going to give me a report. Normally, actually, 2 reports. One for executives and the other one with technical details. And you're going to tell me how you hacked me, how did you enter, and wherever you went, and how to fix it. So with that, I'm going to demonstrate with a paper that my company is safe, or I had this vulnerability, but now it's fixed. So please come again and check that it's correctly, properly fixed again, and try again. So after that, you can consider that your company is kind of secure, because we say in cybersecurity that there's nothing 100% secure.
Yeah.
So that's very common, actually.
I was just wondering, so you're from Spain, you've also been to the US a lot, and you've been living there as well, if I'm correct. How hard was it to get people on board with what you're doing? As a startup founder, did you just focus on the Spanish market, or you had to go elsewhere straight away?
No, at the end, as we are a SaaS product, actually you can go to our website right now, and we have also a small B2C part of the business, but it's not the focus right now, but we have more than 40,000 people from all over the world. Thousands and thousands. So as we are a SaaS product, we are global. The marketing stuff in the beginning started in Spain. That's true. At the end, it's typical family and friends for investment and for clients. And after that, we tried to expand our business in the US, actually, because in Latin America, we had organically clients. Because at the end, I think maybe because of the language, I don't know, we have clients in Mexico, in Chile, Ecuador, in a lot of countries. And also in the US, by the way. So we have the product by default and from the beginning in Spanish, but also in English. I think it's very important to have a global company. So everything is by default in English and Spanish. And actually, one of the key things that we have and one of our unique values is that our platform is actually a tool for companies. And when I say a tool, is that it's white label. So we put the logo of the client, the colors of the client, and the language of the clients. So we have the platform translated to Portuguese as well, to Italian. So it's very easy for us. We build the product from the beginning in a way that is very easy to upload new languages. Okay. And it's a differentiator at the end. We go to a request for proposals or RFPs. No? It's very interesting that this white label part and language part is key sometimes.
Interesting. And how easy was it to convince people that they should invest in you? Coming out of Spain, and going abroad. Was it easy? Was it hard? How was that journey like?
No, it was really hard. When you create a company, one of the things that you discover in the beginning, I think, is the people. In the beginning, actually, this company is very technical. I was thinking that the most complicated issue that I was going to have was the technology, servers, infrastructure, etc. But no, I think the most complicated thing you have to manage is the people, and for different reasons. The first one is to attract talent. How do you make that a guy that is working, I don't know, in HP and IBM, like me in the beginning, how actually Simulate made this with me. I left IBM and I went to Simulate. I was the employee number 20 or something. Yeah. So how is that possible? I think you have to offer an incredible product. You could, I felt in love with the product of Simulate. Also with the team, the founders is important. And how do you manage the people? I have some employees that came from a big company. And they are saying to me that now they are living much better because at the end they are like their own bosses, because in a startup you have to manage your task very well. Yeah. I cannot be chasing people. I need you to be autonomous. I need you. If this has to be done on Friday, I expect that. I'm not going to ask you on Thursday. Like, hey, how are you doing? No, chasing, no. So that's different. In the big companies, that's very common. So I think you have to make the people happy to be with you. The product has to be good as well, because if they are going to work and sell something very new, something innovative, it has to be for real. And the other part is how to retain talent, because sometimes it's complicated. When you come from a big company, it's complicated to adapt yourself to the daily basis of a startup. It's really complicated. Actually, I have had some people in my company that didn't fit very well because of this, because they were, they used to use processes, approvals, these kind of big company things.
Mm-hmm.
So once you're in a startup and you discover that you are your own manager, you have to manage your time, your task, everything. Sometimes it's not good for everybody. I think you have to have that kind of
mindset.
I don't know. Yeah. Of mindset. Yeah.
It's funny because a lot of people, how should I put this? A lot of people kind of struggle with that, just like you said, which is how do I manage myself and my time in a startup? It's not for everyone, right? And you do find a lot of people like that. And maybe it's okay if they don't make the jump, even though they're very high qualified and they stay where they are. How do you deal with this uncertainty? Because there's a lot of uncertainty when building a business. How do you deal with that?
Yeah. First of all, as a founder, you have to be very alone. Mm-hmm. If you have co-founders, you have friends, someone to talk about this. But if not, if you're an only founder, sometimes you have to be, I don't want to say quiet, but you have to manage very well the information that you transmit to your team. Because there are several times in the life of an entrepreneur, and I think this is a standard for everybody, that the cash in the bank is going to be very low. Mm-hmm. Maybe next month is huge. Maybe the next month is again low. But at the end, that's very hard to manage, because you see the bank, you see there's no money there, and this client has to pay tomorrow. If this client doesn't pay, we're going to have an issue. And maybe the client is not going to pay because of maybe the guy who pressed the button is sick that day. Yeah. Something you have to manage a lot of things that don't depend on you, and you cannot transmit that stress to the team. I think that's very important, and that's one of the tricky parts that I have to manage every day, because this is every day actually. Every week or every day in a startup is different, and you cannot transmit this stress to the team, because if not, the team is going to explode. Because I'm exploding sometimes. Like, how can I manage this situation, or how can I do? So at the end, you manage it. But it's true that it's very complicated. And actually, nobody told me this in the beginning. Everybody was saying to me, startup is great. It's great to be an entrepreneur. Everything's going to be great. You're going to be your own manager. That's true. But there are a lot of parts that you don't see on a daily basis. And it's very hard sometimes. At the end, for me, if you see the final result, I like it. And I love to be an entrepreneur. And I think it's worth it. But it's not that easy that it looks when you see this kind of great companies, billion companies. Mm-hmm. It's not that easy. And you have to manage a lot of stress, your family, your employees. If you have 10 employees, probably these guys, every single one has something bad in his house, or they need more salary next month. So you have to manage a lot of stuff that I didn't expect when I was creating a hackers tool.
I'm wondering on the tool itself. Did you ever how to put this? You know how people often talk about North Korea and how to have hackers, and China and all these big state players. How are you finding this? Do you think it's a big thing and we should be worried about it, or actually it's going to be okay because companies nowadays, they're using tools like your own and building enough resources to prevent that from happening?
No, I think we have to be worried actually because we don't see it, but it's there. And when we have a war, probably this war started before in a digital world.
Yep.
And probably right now, there are a lot of wars happening and we don't know it because they are online only. So yes, and I cannot I cannot say a lot of details, but I have seen several bad situations because of this kind of spying things, related with these Asia countries. So yes, I've seen, I personally have seen these kind of things, and it's happening. It's happening all the time. Mm-hmm. Actually, if you create a server right now on a website, imagine you create a server right now and you put different softwares for remote desktop and you put the password 1234. Mm-hmm. I made the test, and in less than 1 second, my mouse was moving automatically, alone, in theory. Yeah. And only 1 minute took, because normally from Asia, they are scanning the network all the time. New IP address. Let's see what can we do there, what information we can get. So that's happening, but in both ways. This is the world. Right now, this is the world where we are living. And what we are doing in Hackrocks is we are not a firewall. We are not an antivirus. We are a platform to train your technical people, because it's very common to see, it's very important, conduct education and awareness in cybersecurity. Don't open this email. Be careful with this ransomware. Yeah. That's great. And even if you do it, the people are still open everything. That's fine. But what about the technical people? Because we are assuming that the developers are experts in everything. Mm-hmm. So for instance, clients of Hackrocks, we have, for instance, one client with 300 developers. and they said to me, the CISO, the Chief Information Security Officer, said to me, I want to make with Hackrocks different scenarios, and periodically I want to make my developers to hack stuff really similar, very similar to the one that we have in our company. Because once you know how to attack, you know how to defend. So we are creating virtual scenarios with the latest vulnerabilities that are coming up every day. So with that, you can exploit those vulnerabilities, and you know how to defend yourself against them.
Interesting. And how important is it to keep up to date with all these things? Of course, we know the basics, which is always have the software up to date and stuff like that. But is that a foolproof way of not being hacked, or you actually need to invest a lot more to fix that type of issues?
No. Even if you invest a lot of money in cybersecurity, you could be hacked tomorrow. I mean, and actually, there is one thing that's it's a bit weird, but maybe right now you are being hacked. I mean, right now, but you don't know it, and maybe you're gonna know this in 3 years or 10 years. Do you know the vulnerability that was called Heartbleed?
No, but tell me more about it.
I'm not gonna go deeper in technical details, but the interesting point of this vulnerability is that it was discovered. Imagine, I don't remember the year, but imagine 2020, and they discovered that 10 years before 2010, it was like published or that happened for first time. So during those 10 years, the cyber criminals were using that to hack a lot of countries, a lot of passwords, a lot of servers, a lot of stuff. So the point is, what are we going to discover in 10 years that were vulnerable like today?
On that note, I got a question for you. Like we hear a lot of things about quantum computers and how it's going to revolutionize the way that we process information, but above all, that we create passwords. How impactful is that going to be?
A lot, yeah. Yeah, a lot. And I'm glad that you make this question, because for me it's very important, and the people sometimes don't think about this, because I was in front of this quantum computer of IBM in Switzerland, in Zurich.
Is it Watson, the name of it?
It's Watson, yeah. No, Watson is the artificial intelligence of IBM, and they have Quantum. IBM Quantum. So I was in front of the quantum computer in Switzerland, in Zurich. It was incredible, like in front of mine. Everybody wearing white with a lot of careful, because the temperature is very important for this kind of computers. So I was wondering this, and I was making some research, and it's true. Probably something that we consider safe right now. Imagine a password. This password cannot be encrypted today, or could be, but in 1,000 years. So it cannot. Okay, with a quantum computer, maybe that password can be decrypted in days or in minutes. So I think we have to change our mindset and think that maybe something that is protected today with some encryption is not going to be enough to protect this information maybe in 2 years. Because I was in a conference related with this with a very incredible man from Spain. He's one of the key masters in quantum computer. He said, like, in the last 5 years, we are saying that in 25 years, we have to change all the passwords and all the encryption systems. But every year is in 25 years. So maybe it's not going to be tomorrow, but maybe in 30 years, maybe 40 years. But for sure, a password or an information that is encrypted with technology that we have today, maybe it's not going to be enough to protect something in 20, 30 years, because with quantum computer, you can decrypt something in minutes. So we have to change. And actually, I have heard that in the MIT, they are creating new subjects, which are called quantum encryption, or how to define encryption related with quantum computer, because that's going to be the future.
But is it a big issue right now? Like, can you already use quantum computers to crack passwords, or it's still
No, you can't, because probably if you try, the host of this quantum computer is going to block you. Because, for instance, the IBM one is for free. I mean, you can go to IBM Quantum, and it's for free. You can make a request, and they are going to return the result. It's for free until some point. Yeah. But why? Because normally, I think why? Because normally they want to be the standard in the future. So they have created a programming language for quantum computer. So the one who creates these programming languages will be the standard in the future. So it's for free. You can do it. You can go to IBM, write a small script, and use the technology. It's for free. So but if you try there to hack a password, probably they're going to tell you, "Hey, Ricardo, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't go that way."
Do you think we should be concerned with state actors using this technology to hack a lot of things?
Yes, but I think before is the artificial intelligence, because I'm saying one thing. I was using artificial intelligence 7 years ago or something like that with IBM.
Yeah.
Before ChatGPT. But now everybody has access to artificial intelligence, and could be the same with quantum computing. Because right now, if you are not in IBM or in Google or in these big techs, you cannot access to quantum computing. But now you can even create your own AI engine in your own laptop. I am always saying, if I have access to ChatGPT to hack people or to make hacking stuff, the bad guys
can also do it.
Yeah. So bad guys, cyber criminals have access to ChatGPT as well. So they are making better email phishing. They can guess passwords with AI much better than before. So as the bad guys are using ChatGPT for bad things, we have to use it as well for good things. I think we have to evolve. Yes or yes?
Tweaks or recommendations you can give to someone and say, just do this straight away, because that's really going to save you a lot of time or a lot of hassle in the future.
I mean, for me right now, there is one thing that is mandatory, which is the two-factor authentication. So take for granted that your password is going to be stolen. Because sometimes it doesn't depend on you. You see, we saw that LinkedIn lost hundreds of millions of users, whatever. Yeah. This another password lost 100, whatever. Millions of users has been lost in the last years. So our all passwords, our usernames, our IDs are in the dark web already. So probably if you use some of those passwords in an old account, maybe it's going to work. Or maybe you are using the same password in two accounts. So maybe Instagram is working, but Google is hacked, for instance. So they can use it in both networks. So what I am always saying is, in addition to the username and the password, you need something else. And that something else could be SMS that comes to your phone, could be your Face ID, fingerprint, but something else, not only username and password. With that, you are going to be much more protected. Of course, not 100%, but yeah.
What about, because, I actually heard a horrible story like this. Some guy who worked for a hedge fund, he got his phone stolen. And then within hours, people had asked for bank loans in his name using the phone because, yes, as you're right, two-factor authentication, they send you a text. But then if they do have your phone, they can do everything from there. Is there any way for us to protect ourselves against that? Because if someone has your phone and your phone has your email accounts, what's stopping the person who has your phone and free access to your phone to actually going crazy?
Yeah, no. The key here is that, for instance, I have this configured in my phone. If you put 10 times incorrect my password, it's gonna be deleted automatically. So things like that, like. Of course, you have to protect your phone. You have to put always a password. Not something easy, not the typical you draw. Yeah. So, or the remote control. For instance, there is another tip that is very useful. You can configure that if the phone is not unlocked, you cannot disable Wi-Fi or 3G, 4G, 5G, whatever. That way, you can go to the remote control and say, delete my phone remotely. That could be done in iPhone and in Android. Yes, and that's something very easy because you can find the phone because it's going to be connected and you can delete the phone remotely.
Yep.
And by the way, for the second one, for the two-factor authentication, if you can avoid SMS, much better. And the other option could be an application that every 30 seconds or every minute change a random token, a code. Like Google Authenticator is the best.
Okay, interesting.
Instead of SMS.
Going back on your startup and yourself as an entrepreneur, what tips and advice do we give to someone just starting out based on your experience?
Related with technology or with a startup or?
With the mindset and the startup. Not so much technology, but something completely agnostic, just saying, I would advise people to go here or go there and do this.
Yeah.
What lessons have you learned that you think?
No, first of all, the lesson that I told before is not that easy than it looks. And you're gonna have bad moments, hard moments that you have to bypass. Second, that every single euro or pound or dollar counts. Yeah. Because when you raise money and you have 1 million or you have 500,000, whatever, you spend on marketing, salaries, whatever. But when you don't have the money, it's very tricky, very, very tricky. So be careful with the marketing, for instance. Right now, I'm not spending too much, but I have had some moments in the past, or the investors said, hey, we have to invest more in marketing or less, whatever. Be careful because sometimes if you have, for instance, a B2C model, the marketing could be a black hole.
Yeah.
all the money can be there. So be careful with every single euro that you spend, even if you have a lot of money right now. Because sometimes, for instance, the venture capital, some of them, not all of them, but some of them I'm going to tell you, I want you to spend my money in 6 months. Mandatory. Why? Because if you don't get your goals, maybe you need more money from the VC and you're going to be like, I need your money or the company's going to die. So sometimes I have seen this also with some of my colleagues that are working a lot with a lot of VCs at the same time. You have to be careful or at least understand the business of a venture capital. I think it's important to empathize in both ways, because when you are raising money, you have to be very careful with the amount of the company that you're going to provide, the conditions. Be careful because maybe they can say in a term, if we say no to something, it's going to be no for or for always. So it's kind of, we call it veto in Spain. Like my word, if I have no, and I have 1% of the company, but if I say no, it's no.
Yeah, the veto power, so they can veto the
yeah, exactly. I have seen that in some of my colleagues, and they said to me, "Be careful with that." We were not careful. So these kind of small details are very important, and also so how to manage the money, every euro counts, and be careful with the conditions, and also VCs, also business angels, everybody, because at the end everybody has their own goals, and it's okay. So find a fair situation always. Not because sometimes when you don't have the money, you sign whatever you have in front of you. So you have to be very careful. And very important, I think we made it in Hackrocks, but it's complicated sometimes to get this. You have to have a plan B in case you don't have cash the next month. So what's the minimum cost that you're going to have to avoid the company die? Imagine that tomorrow that client is not paying. Imagine that tomorrow the VC say, no, finally, we're not going to invest the day before. Things like that can happen. And what's your plan B? If you don't have a plan B, probably you're going to die because you're not going to pay salaries. You're not going to pay the servers of your platform. So you always, at least I have learned this in the beginning of Hackrocks, and I think we always have this kind of plan B, and that's why we created the company 4 years ago now. I have seen a lot of friends with the company in 2020 that the company is not alive because of cash stuff and these things like that.
Did you find, because you raised from investors in Spain and also in the US, correct?
In Spain, not in US yet.
Oh, okay. I was just asking about the mindset. From the conversations you're having so far, is there anything that you think is different between all these geographies, or investors tend to think the same way?
No, it's totally different. I didn't get investors from the US, but I've been talking a lot with several VCs in the US, business angels, whatever. It's totally different. I mean, the mindset. Some of them, for instance, in the US, we have this problem with Spain. If you are raising in Spain, I don't know, 6 million euros, maybe it's too much for the standard average ticket that the VCs are going to invest. It's too much. But if you go to the US, a couple of million, 3 million euros is like, okay, we are not going to waste our time for that few millions. For me, it's a lot, but for the US, it's not that much. So it depends on the country. It depends on the business that you can find in that country. For instance, in the UK, I think much similar to the US. But for instance, in Spain, I have friends that they were raising a friend of mine actually, and he didn't get it. And to get that, or to try to get that, he had to combine like 3 or 4 VCs for 250. So like 4 VCs for this amount of money, which is not that much, more or less. It's really complicated. You have to talk with a lot of people. Everybody has their conditions. But if you go to the US, maybe you can raise 6 million, 10 million with only 1 VC. So that's the difference sometimes. Something like that. I think the amount of the money is not the same in the geography that you are. And maybe you can make some mistakes. Because if you go to the US and you say, I need 200K, they're going to tell you, okay, come back to your country. I mean, you are too slow for us. That happened to me actually sometimes in the beginning. That's why I'm saying this.
How have you dealt with it? I mean, it must have been hard when you go there and say, I only need this much and a lot can happen. And they say, no, you're too small. Go back to Spain. How do you do that? In my case, and maybe this is a mistake actually, I wanted to be very honest. I mean, because if you're in the US and they tell you, hey, no, but instead of 200K, it's going to be 20 million. You can say, okay, whatever, perfect. But with the valuation of your company, that means that you are selling your company.
So make no sense. So you have to be careful, because if you say yes to all the money that you have, maybe you're going to lose a lot of percentage of your company. Or maybe you don't need that money, actually. You have to raise the money that you actually need for the goal that you set. So if you are talking with an investor in the US and suddenly he's saying to you, and this happened to me somewhere in Spain, why 200? No, 800, something like that. It's maybe yes or maybe not. Maybe I don't need it because I'm going to sell. I prefer to sell and get money with sales, not with investors. So you have to be very careful with the words that you say when you are talking with a VC or business angel, because maybe they are tricking you at some point. Like, let's see what he says when I say I have 20 million instead of 2 million. In what do you invest my money? Or I don't know. I think it's very tricky, because if you say one word that doesn't fit with his mindset, because sometimes they are saying, no, we only invest in projects with these conditions. And maybe you don't know those conditions because it's secret or are internal for the VC. And you say, oh, yes, whatever. Yes to all. I need your money. Yes to all. I have seen that a lot. Maybe that's tricky. At the end, it's dangerous. So I prefer to be honest, and no, this is the money that I need because this is my business plan. If you are able to provide more money, we can redo the business plan, and we have to negotiate the amount of company that you want. Because if you are going to invest triple or double, of course you want double of my company.
Of course, yeah.
You have to be very careful. Yeah.
And how do you find these investors?
Honestly, family and friends, or friends of friends of friends. No, at the end. So that's one option. Second. Events, but not typical startups events.
More specific networking events for...
Yeah, so events in cybersecurity. So events related with the industry of the company.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because there you're going to have business partners, you're going to have investors, you're going to have clients. So normally I prefer to go to cybersecurity events instead of startup events. Because sometimes when I have gone to these startup events, I'm feeling that we are like wolves following the three investors that are in the audience, like everybody's chasing them.
Yeah, it's the matchmaking.
So it's very complicated to get attention, to get 1 minute to talk about your company is really complicated. I mean, they're okay, but it's complicated. So you have to manage very well these kind of events, because I've gone to some of them some of them are great. And if you do it well, you can manage it very well, but you have to know that you have 30 seconds per investor. That elevator pitch is very important. That card, that message that, hey, this guy, I can make money with this guy. So you have to be very ready, because you're going to have all the wolves looking at for investors as well. So I've been there in several times, and I've got investors as well. Mm-hmm. And normally the investors that finally invested in my company normally have come from this kind of industry events. I don't know why. Maybe because cybersecurity is very specific and very close industry. Yeah, it's very... at the end, we say always that we are a few people in the industry. Everybody knows everybody. So... yeah, it's different, maybe.
I always compare going to events a bit like dating, right? You're single, you go to a bar full of single people. Now, you're there's a likelihood of you meeting the right person, but there's also a likelihood of you meeting the completely wrong person. And it's the same thing with any event you go to, right? If you're there, you're looking for investment, there are investors at the event. Is it likely for you to talk with them? Yes. Is it likely for you to be a good match? That's up for grabs, but you can never know that beforehand.
Exactly. So it's great as well. I've been in this speed dating sometimes as well, and it's okay. Maybe you feel that, okay, this is not going to invest in the first second. So you have a conversation, 5 minutes conversation very well, and that's all. And the opposite. So that's okay as well. But normally, and I think this is an important message. You have to fight, or you have to manage to get your goals. Nobody's going to give you an investor for you on the event. Mm-hmm. Because actually, right now we are as well in the Tampa Bay Wave Accelerator. We are in Florida, in the city of Tampa. And we are there in an accelerator right now, very happy. And it's the same. We have had in front of us investors, mentors, business partners. But if I don't go, probably they are not going to say, hey, Enrique, how can I help you? How are you today? Let's go, So in this kind of big events, it's the same. So, or startups events, you have to be, if you are like quiet or introvert, you have to change. At least you have to try. Like, hey, let's talk with everybody. Let's see what you get.
I was wondering one thing, because I know the ecosystem here in the UK, and I know, for example, as an investor, you do get a lot of tax incentives to put your money in a startup. What is it like in Spain? Do you also get some type of government support?
Yes, for the investors, if if you invest some money, you can say at the end of the year, related with your taxes, you can say, hey, I invested in this startup, so I have some benefits. There are some benefits as well. Yeah, and it's very important to know very well the benefits from every country. Because not only benefits, also some helps. And helps not only money. Helps means, for instance, I went to Saudi Arabia with the government of Spain. They said, hey, 5 businessmen, whatever, 5 companies related with defense and with cybersecurity. And they invited us. That's great, because that's one opportunity that I had. And it's not money, but sometimes you get it. And also, depending on the country, for instance, in Spain, you have some money that you have to return. I mean, it's not for free, but maybe you have this kind of money that, okay, I give you the money now, and in 2 years, you start to return the money. You have that gap. So these kind of things are there, but you need someone to tell you this. So actually, I recommend, and we are using this here in Spain, companies that work, but you only have to pay the company if they get the result. If they don't get this money, or if they don't get anything, they don't get the money from you. So that's great, like a success fee only.
Interesting. Okay.
So they can tell you benefits and this stuff, because they are going to get a percentage of the benefit that you get.
Interesting. And do you find that people are more risk averse or willing to take the plunge and start a business in Spain? Like,
Sorry, say again?
Do you think people in Spain are more likely to start a business and take the plunge like you? Because you left a very nice, stable job in IBM. I think people are like...
No, that's weird. Weird. In Spain, I think the mentality here is more like have your job, your salary every month, no pressure. I think that's our philosophy, unfortunately. For my family, was very shocked that I left IBM. And in Spain, we don't have, I don't know how to say this, that philosophy. And also, we don't have a lot of help. When you are self-employed or when you have your own business, you have to pay from the day zero. I think in the UK is different. In the UK, if you don't get 60K, you don't have to pay that much, something like that.
No, you need to be, so in terms of VAT, for example, you only pay after your turnover, I think it's 80,000 per year.
Okay.
Then you need to start paying VAT, which actually is quite good because you pretty much have a 20%.
You can try.
And then it's easier. You don't pay anything to have a company open and start trading. You do pay it yearly when you close your account, but you don't pay monthly on a monthly basis. So I think that's actually quite good, because I know in Portugal, for example, you have to pay every month, regardless if you are making profit or not. You still need to pay.
Exactly. Here is the same. And I don't like it, actually. And the taxes that the self-employed have in Spain normally are increasing. We don't have too many helps, actually, related with money or related with you don't have to pay until you see that your business is going well, like, or things like that. No, you have to pay the day zero. The first month that you start your business, you're paying taxes. So, yeah, there is a lot of point of view related with that in Spain. It's more a political thing. But yeah, I think it's not easy to start a company here. And I'm saying this because of I've been in that path. And also because I have friends that went to the UK to make the company. Because they said to me, I prefer the UK instead of Spain to make my business. Because it's much easier. You can try the thing that you said related with the money, the AK. So yeah, I have friends. A friend of mine actually from Spain is living in London because of this reason. Because of taxes things and because of it's much easier. And yeah, he met a girl there, so he said, I'm going to live in London. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't like that, because it means that talent like this guy is living in Spain. So I don't like.
Yeah, it's a funny thing. This the cost that you have to launch a business from scratch, if they're too high, they actually create a barrier for innovation and create a barrier for entrepreneurship, because you just can't afford that, because you need to pay the government regardless of what happens in your business. And like you said, there's highs and lows, right? Some months you have money in the bank, others you don't have money in the bank. But if one of the reasons you need to close the company is because the state then comes and asks for money, that's incredibly frustrating, I would say.
No, yeah. And in the beginning, it's terrible because you see the cash going down and down and down every month. It's very and much Hackrocks, because in Hackrocks we had to be 1 year creating a platform with no sales. It was really hard to see how we were paying taxes and taxes and taxes.
So
is what we have here.
What was the hardest that you had? Like, what was the one you said, you know what, I'm gonna give up? And how did you came back from that moment?
We had a moment where at the same time 3 or 4 clients didn't pay same month.
Ouch.
for different reasons. So sadly, we had one time in 4 years, very, very complicated, no money at the bank, clients not paying. It was really hard. Actually, not too many people know this, but yeah, that this happened. And we said, hey guys, we have to sell something now, today, like incredible. And we made it. It was incredible. We saved the company, or at some point, or we saved the situation, because we always have that plan B. But the plan B means that we have to fire people. It's a very tough plan. So we had that situation where everybody suddenly were not paying, like from one day to another, like what the hell is going on here? And the cash was going down, so we had to make several changes in the company, several changes in the technology, optimize the economy of the company. And I think that was very good at the end, because we were able to change different parts to save a lot of money that period of time. And we kept those changes, or a lot of those changes, because we optimized the cost of the company a lot. So it was a good experience related with the money, but a very bad experience related with my years of life. Like the stress that we had that time. We had to call the client, hey, guy, in theory, you had to pay last month, you're not paying, whatever. So finally, one client paid a bit. Other times, you have to put your own money suddenly, but you have to be careful, because you cannot do that all the time, because you're gonna, you don't have unlimited money. So for me, the hard part is those moments where you don't have cash and you have to take very complicated decisions, like fire people, restructure the company, talk with your partners, talk with your employees. That's very complicated.
That's a hard thing to manage. Enrique, and you're going to be one of our speakers at our event in Madrid on April 23rd. So, I'm very much looking forward to hearing you speak on stage.
Thank you.
Between now and the event, if people want to reach out to you, how can they do so?
Yeah, normally in my social media, it's great. My name is Enrique, like my name. And at the end, ITE, IT engineer. So Enrique ITE. It's very easy. You can find me. Normally, I use more Instagram or Twitter, X now, or even LinkedIn. You can connect and you can send me whatever question that you have. If I can help, I'm more than happy.
Thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for the invitation, Ricardo.
This podcast is also sponsored by startupnetworks.co.uk. Startup Networks, it's an online forum where you can find all the resources you need to run your startup, from grants to investors to tips and tricks on how to be successful in your startup. This podcast is sponsored by openexperts.com. Open Experts is a place to go if you're looking to talk with top experts from around the world. That is open-experts.com.